The Great AI Washing: How Tech Companies Are Using AI as Cover to Fire 80,000 Workers and Fund Their $650 billion Infrastructure Bets. By Cedric Joel, April 9, 2026. The official story. In Q1 2026, the tech industry laid off 78,557 workers. Nearly half, 47.9%, were attributed to AI and workflow automation. Companies like Oracle, Dell, Amazon, and Meta framed these cuts as the inevitable march of progress. AI is here, the old roles are obsolete, and the future belongs to leaner, smarter organizations. The press release version sounds clean, rational, even exciting. But the spreadsheets tell a very different story. What's actually happening? Let's follow the money, because that's where the truth always hides. Oracle fired up to 30,000 employees on March 31, 2026. They did it by email. At 6 a.m. local time, workers across the United States, India, Canada, and Mexico received termination notices from Oracle leadership. No warning from HR, no conversation with their managers, no human touch whatsoever. Entire teams in revenue and health sciences and SaaS virtual operations services were gutted by 30% or more. Oracle disclosed a $2.1 billion restructuring plan in its SEC filing, with $982 million already spent in the first 9 months of fiscal 2026. The remaining $1.1 billion is earmarked primarily for severance. But here's the part Oracle doesn't put in the press release: the company is cutting jobs to free up an estimated $8 to $10 billion per year to fund a massive AI data center build-out. Despite strong cloud bookings, Oracle's balance sheet cannot comfortably sustain the capital expenditure needed to compete with Microsoft, Google, and Amazon on AI infrastructure. So it found the money where every CFO finds it, in payroll. Dell tells the same story with different numbers. The company cut 11,000 jobs in fiscal 2026, its third consecutive year of 10% workforce reductions. Since 2023, Dell has shed 27% of its workforce, from 133,000 employees down to roughly 97,000. Dell spent $569 million on severance alone. And yet, during the same period, Dell's Infrastructure Solutions Group revenue jumped 40% to $60.8 billion. AI-optimized server revenue surged 342% year-over-year to $9 billion in Q4 alone, with projections hitting $50 billion by fiscal 2027. Read that again: Dell is firing people while its AI hardware division is exploding with growth. The layoffs aren't because the business is failing. They're because the business model is shifting, and the humans on the old side of the ledger are being sacrificed to fund the machines on the new side. Amazon, Meta, Google, and Microsoft are expected to invest a combined $650 billion in AI infrastructure in a single year. That number is so large it's almost abstract. To put it in perspective, $650 billion is roughly the GDP of Switzerland. And that money has to come from somewhere. Payroll is one of the largest controllable costs on any balance sheet, and layoffs function as a mechanism to self-fund AI infrastructure without damaging near-term financial results. Fire the humans, buy the GPUs. The evidence trail. The AI washing phenomenon has a name now, and even the people building AI are calling it out. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said publicly, "There's some AI washing where people are blaming AI for layoffs that they would otherwise do, and then there's some real displacement by AI of different kinds of jobs." That's the CEO of the world's most prominent AI company telling you that companies are using his technology as a scapegoat. Cognizant's chief AI officer Babak Hajat was even more blunt: sometimes AI becomes the scapegoat from a financial perspective, like when a company hired too many, or they want to resize, and it gets blamed on AI. The pattern is clear when you look at the data. These companies overhired during the pandemic boom of 2020 to 2022. They binged on zero-interest rate money and inflated their headcounts by 30 to 50%. Now, with interest rates elevated and AI infrastructure demanding hundreds of billions in capital, they need to unwind those hiring sprees. But saying we overhired and now we're correcting doesn't play well on an earnings call. Saying we're restructuring for the AI era does. The term AI washing describes exactly this dynamic. Companies overattribute layoffs to AI to reduce public backlash, signal modernization to investors, and reassure Wall Street that leadership is acting decisively. It's the same playbook as digital transformation in 2018 or cloud-first strategy in 2015, corporate jargon designed to make cost-cutting sound like innovation. Salesforce Ben, a major Salesforce community publication, published an article titled, "Can we finally admit these tech layoffs aren't due to AI?" arguing that the narrative has become so distorted that the industry itself is struggling to separate genuine automation from financial engineering disguised as technological progress. Why this framing serves them? The AI washing narrative serves three powerful interests simultaneously. First, it serves the companies doing the firing. When Oracle says it's restructuring for AI, investors don't punish the stock, they reward it. Oracle needs $8 to $10 billion annually for data centers, and Wall Street is far more likely to approve layoffs framed as AI transformation than layoffs framed as "we can't afford our cloud strategy." The AI label turns a cost-cutting exercise into a growth narrative. Second, it serves the AI vendors. Every time a company says we're replacing workers with AI, it reinforces the narrative that AI is so powerful it's making humans obsolete. That narrative drives demand for AI products, AI infrastructure, AI consulting. Anthropic just hit a $30 billion revenue run rate, tripling from $9 billion at the end of 2025. The fear of being left behind is the best sales pitch in technology. Third, it serves the executives personally. CEOs who frame layoffs as AI-driven restructuring get credit for vision and decisiveness. They get invited to Davos panels about the future of work. They get higher stock prices, bigger bonuses, and admiring profiles in business magazines. The alternative, admitting they overhired, overspent, and are now correcting, offers none of those rewards. But there's a victim in this narrative engineering: the workers themselves. And the data on what happens to them is devastating. What happens next? Goldman Sachs just published research that should alarm anyone in the tech industry. Workers displaced from AI-disrupted roles take approximately 1 month longer to find new employment compared to workers laid off from stable sectors. But the duration isn't the worst part, it's the pay. AI-displaced white-collar workers face 10% to 30% pay cuts in their next roles. Over a full decade, Goldman's data shows tech-displaced workers trail their never-displaced peers by nearly 10 percentage points in real earnings. The scarring effects spill over into broader economic outcomes: slower wealth accumulation, delayed homeownership, reduced retirement savings. The mechanism is what economists call occupational downgrading. Workers whose specific skills have been devalued, whether by actual AI replacement or by the perception that their role is AI vulnerable, cannot find direct equivalents in the current market. They end up in more routine positions requiring fewer analytical and interpersonal skills. A senior data analyst becomes a junior operations coordinator. A marketing strategist becomes a content moderator. The title changes, the pay drops, and the career trajectory flattens permanently. And here's the cruel irony: many of these workers weren't actually replaced by AI at all. They were replaced by a spreadsheet, a CFO's calculation that their salary could be redirected to GPU purchases. But because the company said AI, the market treats them as technologically obsolete rather than financially expendable. The AI washing doesn't just cost them their current job, it brands them as yesterday's technology in their next job search. The numbers are accelerating. March 2026 alone saw 18,720 tech job cuts, a 40% year-over-year increase from March 2025. Over 52,000 U.S. tech workers were laid off in just the first 3 months of 2026. And with $650 billion in AI infrastructure spending planned, the financial pressure to cut more headcount will only intensify. We are watching the largest transfer of corporate resources from human labor to machine infrastructure in history. And the companies doing it have discovered that the most effective way to execute it is to blame the machines themselves. What you should do about it. If you work in tech, stop taking the AI replacement narrative at face value. When your company announces AI-driven restructuring, look at the capex budget. Look at the data center plans. Look at whether the AI they're supposedly replacing you with actually exists or whether it's a PowerPoint slide used to justify a cost-cutting exercise. If you've been laid off, don't let the AI washing narrative define your career story. You weren't replaced by a robot. You were replaced by a line item on a capital expenditure plan. Frame your experience accordingly in interviews. If you're investing, understand that the $650 billion AI infrastructure bet is being partially funded by the elimination of human capital. That trade only works if the AI actually delivers returns commensurate with the human productivity it replaced. History suggests that's far from guaranteed. And if you're watching this from the outside, remember, when a company says AI made us do it, what they usually mean is our CFO made us do it, and AI made it sound good. The machines aren't taking your job. The quarterly earnings report is.